Something is clearly rotten in India's competitive examination system. The lives of over 32 lakh young Indians have been impacted between the fiasco over the NEET entrance exams and what is known as the UGc-NET exam. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, students are on the streets and politics has erupted as the blame game begins as to who is responsible for what we now know to be a leaked exam in the NEET medical entrance exam. Earlier, the government had denied that any paper leak had taken place, but there was already enough to raise eyebrows. For example, the high number of those with top scores, 67 of them, 6 of them at one center, the controversy around grace marks. And now we have an arrested student in Bihar confirming that the paper had indeed been leaked. The politics is not far behind. Rahul Gandhi is targeting the Prime Minister, the BJP and its allies are targeting the RJD in Bihar. But beyond the politics, who's actually thinking, beyond the party politics, who's actually thinking about the lives of young people? Many of them between the ages of 20 to 23. Some of them who are sitting for this entrance exam, not for the first time, but for the third, fourth, and fifth time, at not just great economic cost, but also at severe cost to their mental health. Has the NTA become the no trust agency, or as someone else said, the National Trauma Agency? What should happen? Should heads not roll? Let's introduce our guests on the program today as we look at this big story that impacts, as I said, the lives of lakhs and lakhs of Indian students. I want to bring first up Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Welcome to the program, Abhijit. He's a senior fellow at the IPCS. Welcome as ever. Sanjay Hegde, who's of course a senior lawyer, senior advocate with the Supreme Court of India, is with us. Welcome back, Sanjay. Zafar Sareshwala is with us. He's of course a key educationist among his many other avatars. Welcome to the program. Also joining us is Arshdeep Khadial. Thank you, Congress leader and spokesperson. And also joining us is Surbhi. Surbhi Singh is one of those whom we've been speaking about, a NEET aspirant, sat for the exam for the fifth time this year. How must she be feeling today? We will find out. And in fact, before I start the program, Surbhi, I'd like to start with you. Aapse shuru karti hu. I was talking to you earlier, so I know that this is your fifth time, right? And how old are you, Surbhi?
I'm 23. I'm
You're
23.
23. And you really want to be a doctor, which is why you're sitting for this exam for the fifth time?
Yes, ma'am, I really wanted to be a doctor. And there's one more thing, when you cross certain attempts, there's no going back. You cannot just drop it in between. So this is
Surbhi,
also
how
one
do
of the
you
reason I can say.
yeah, how do you describe your feeling? आज आपके दिल में क्या है? What would you like to convey to our panel and to the larger audience?
Like I said before also, कि I am very anxious, afraid, insecure, vulnerable, and a lot of mixed feelings I'm having right now, every second. Their headline come and then a lot of questions comes in my mind. Is it in my favor? Will the need happen again and everything? So it's very questionable moment right now for me and for everyone.
What are you hoping for? What do you expect to happen? मतलब आपकी क्या उम्मीद है अभी?
In conclusive, I would like to say that I'm hoping for renewed. Because there are very different kind of irregularities that happened in the exam. Okay, my internet.
Okay, let's open this up. Zafar Sareshwala, you have been in education. Who do you blame for this?
Barkha, let me put it in perspective. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. See, Barkha, this is actually a very criminal act. This has been going on. I mean, it's not happened today. This exam leak, the whole problem starts with the paper leak. And first we used to hear 12th standard paper used to leak, 10th standard. Then it went on and on. Then, a police constable exams paper are leaked. You must have seen railway, millions of youth, they work for 3 years, 4 years, and suddenly the paper is leaked and there is re-examination. So actually why it is happening? Because once upon a time, these are basically, there is criminality here. And once upon a time, these underworld dons were involved in extortion, smuggling, so many other businesses. But those businesses have finished. So where they will go? So now it is a criminal act, and there are gangs involved in it. And it is all India level. And it is the worst act of terror. Barkha, for me, this is not only selling of paper or leaking of paper. It is an act of terror. You can imagine, because why I'm telling you, I was a chancellor of a university and I know the trauma with the parents and the students go. For example, NEET exam. You had this girl, young girl, for 5 years she's preparing. And now, these students, they start preparing for NEET exam from year 9th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 4 years, 5 years. The parents, the students, they get through it. They spend millions of rupees in their and then, so this is an act of terror. I think first the government of India should use this criminality.
Why do you use this phrase terror? We should use the word carefully. We should use this phrase carefully.
No,
do you use it with consideration?
Yes.
What do you mean act of terror?
Yes. You can imagine what happens to these millions of students. Take, for example, you were saying 32 lakhs in NEET and NAT. Then there are railway exams recently which had happened. Millions of students were sitting in that. Then you have so many other exams, constable exams, exams for banking, so many exams happening. Millions of youth, they are spending their life. The parents are spending, Barkha, for one exam to appear at least 700 to 800,000 rupees. And what happens? At the end of the day, the exam is cancelled and there is re-exam. Now you come in the place of these youth and the parents, and you imagine what they must be going. It is an act of terror. It is maybe I'm using it in one phrase of it. This is it is a big criminal act. Unless government of India doesn't use this, leakage of newspapers or people involved in that, and they don't crush these gangs. There are gangs. It is not about one or two people. There is an organized gang which is doing it, and there is also nexus of politicians in that. Unless and until they are not thwarted, you will see again and again. Tomorrow again, day after tomorrow again, you will see, and you can imagine why I'm using the word terror. You can imagine the condition of these students and their parents. They are terrorized because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You come in their shape. After spending 1,800,000 rupees, 5 years, 4 years, and at the end of the day, they have to reappear in the exam. You can imagine what they must be going through.
Okay, let's open this up. Arshdeep Khadial, I also see Satyan Kolabkar of the BJP with us. Arshdeep, Rahul Gandhi today, he just went on queue. I don't know why he went, probably bad network. Hopefully he'll reconnect. Arshdeep Khadial, Rahul Gandhi has targeted the Prime Minister, and I'm going to play that clip out and then come right to you. But I'll tell you, the students, I don't think at this point will be interested in the quarrel between the BJP and the Congress, the RJD and the BJP. They simply want to know what happens to them next. Let me play out Rahul Gandhi's comment and I'll come right to you for your response. Take a look.
मणिपुर से हम महाराष्ट्र गए और रास्ते में हजारों युवाओं ने कंप्लेन की थी कि हिंदुस्तान में नॉन स्टॉप पेपर लीक होते हैं। और आज आप सबको मालूम है कि नीट पेपर एंड UGc-NET के जो पेपर्स हैं वो लीक हुए हैं और एक कैंसिल भी हुआ है। कहा जा रहा था कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने यूक्रेन की लड़ाई रोक दी थी। मतलब एक ऑर्डर देके जो रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच में लड़ाई चल रही थी उसको रोक दिया था, ब्रेक लगा दी थी। इजराइल और गाजा के बीच में जो लड़ाई चल रही थी उसको भी नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने रोक दिया था। मगर किसी ना किसी कारण जो हिंदुस्तान में पेपर लीक हो रहे हैं उसको नरेंद्र मोदी रोक नहीं पा रहे हैं या रोकना नहीं चाहते हैं।
Okay, now in the middle of the political tutu meme, Ashdeep Khadial do.
Thank you, Barkha, for the question. I'm sorry I was trying to unmute myself. I was muted.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll do that. Go ahead. Yeah.
First and foremost, in a few days of Modi 3.0, there have been two major fiascos with regards to exams of NET and one of NET. I'd request the fellow panelists to kindly mute. So, number one, that the Bharatiya Janata Party's government has made an opening with two major fiascos. And the unfortunate part here is that Mr. Modi, when the NEET fiasco happened, he prioritized his foreign trips over addressing the issue of NEET, over addressing the concern of 24 lakh families that were adversely affected because of that. Second, at the time of the fiasco regarding NET, Mr. Modi has decided to prioritize the choosing of the speaker. This goes on to suggest that the Bharatiya Janata Party's priorities are in order, Barkha. At the top, it is their vested interests, the party's interest, and at the bottom is the career of all those families, of all those students that have been affected in this. Second of all, the Bharatiya Janata Party's government has been making a lot of remarks on this. Their education minister said that there is no paper leak, there is nothing wrong has happened in this. Well, the fact of the matter is that the BJP time and again one becomes the judge, jury and executioner. That's the problem. If the inquiry hadn't concluded, if the inquiry was yet to happen, how could the education minister have a preconceived notion and on the basis of that say that nothing has happened? That is for the inquiry to decide. That is for the investigation agency to see if something has happened or not. But you already have a preconceived notion in your head that you were trying to sell. Third, Barkha, that the Bihar police, in Bihar, the government is of an ally of the NDA, Mr. Kumar. In that, the economic offences wing of the Bihar police had said that a paper leak happened at the time of NEET as well, at the time of NEET. So is the BJP's ally, their own government is lying, their own police is lying? Then Maharashtra government, another ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party, said injustice has happened with the students of Maharashtra. I mean, everyone is wrong, everyone is lying, the students are lying, the country is lying, the opposition ruled states are lying, their own allies are lying. It's just the BJP that is telling the truth. Then you see Mr. Modi hasn't said a single word about this. Being the Prime Minister of 130 crore people, and not even uttering one word in such important matters, such significant matters, Mr. Modi has decided to keep quiet, to keep mum. This is the bokhlahat, this is the anxiety of the Bharatiya Janata Party since they wanted to start the Modi 3.0 with something else, and they've started with a blunder. Therefore, they have.
Okay, before I go to Satyanji of the BJP, Arshdeep, one question for you. The BJP is, of course, blaming the BJP Deputy Chief Minister today. The BJP in Bihar has actually blamed Tejasvi Yadav and said that one of the masterminds has been found linked to an aide of Tejasvi Yadav. How do you respond to that?
Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to do what it does best: spread propaganda, spread lies. However, the fact of the matter is, how can they point a finger at Mr. Yadav? Who are they to decide? Are they the judge or the jury or the executioner or the IO or the police? Who are they? If nothing has been, no inquiry has happened yet, he has not been found to be involved even remotely, and nevertheless to divert attention from your failure to shift it towards the opposition, you're trying to do that. It's very convenient. But my only concern with the Bharatiya Janata Party is, instead of shifting the blame from yourself to others, instead of trying to brush things under the carpet, come forward, admit that it's a blunder by your government, admit that the reason behind this is capturing of the educational institutions. Back in the day, they destroyed the economy through demonetization. Now they've destroyed the future of all these lakhs of students by capturing these educational institutions.
Okay, let me just read out a couple of comments, and then before I come to Satyanji, I'd like Surbhi to speak. One of our members says, "Barkha, it's not just the exam paper leaks. India is notorious for SAT, GRE paper leaks. There are centers in India which are blacklisted by the ETS." Another aspirant says, "Good evening. I'm a dropper. I got 642 marks this time with a rank of 3,803.8793. Last year, the rank at 640 was nearly 9,000 in the paper. Last year was easier than this year." सुरभि एक सवाल जो उठा है, how did 67 people right get perfect scores? आप as a young person सबसे ज्यादा suspicion आपको किस चीज को लेकर है, and what do you want to say about the NTA? Do you trust it to hold another exam if it had to?
No, after everything whatever happened till now, every student out here is a trust issue. They cannot just simply trust NTA. They don't have that. And ये trust issues जो build up हुआ है, the reason behind it is NTA itself. The opaqueness in every answer, the suspicious behavior, everything, publishing result 10 days earlier, and everything is very suspicious. So after that, everyone is very questionable about everything that NTA does. I also cannot believe NTA right now, whatever they say. It's simply I have the question, are they saying truth? Is this the only thing that happened? Or are they trying to hide something? So this is what goes in our head right now.
Yeah, which means even if there's another exam, you don't trust the NTA to conduct that exam, correct?
Yeah, I can say that. I would like higher authorities to, take the control over it.
So Satyanji, system broken hai. System is broken. You have 32 lakh students impacted. एक एग्जाम कैंसिल हो चुका है. You heard सुरभि, वो पांचवी बारी, you joined a little late, so I'm just repeating. वो पांचवी बारी बैठी है इस साल for the exam. And the point is what now? And the government initially denied. धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी का एक बयान आया था कि पेपर लीक हुआ ही नहीं. आज अरेस्टेड स्टूडेंट्स कह रहे हैं पेपर लीक हुआ है.
See, this discussion is more on the academic part of it rather than the political part of it. Arkha, I have been very frank to you on your channels whenever I have visited your show. I will say this is very unfortunate. The way the kids are going through, it is very unfortunate. I will not politicize my words by saying that there is something right or wrong. It has to be plugged in. And it has to be plugged in for the betterment of students like Surbhi. You can see the pain and agony on their face, which is very, very critical for any ruling party, any person in the country to plug these gaps. And that you have to accept as a karyakarta of any political party. You cannot be as a person cannot take anything, especially on the academic part of it or the education part of it, the way it has happened, it has to be plugged in. The party is trying its best to do that. We have to understand that the entire scenario, uh, we are taken this call. This is also a painful call for us. We don't want to have repeated exams. This is not something which is on the fun element for any political party. But yes, we have taken up a call, and we have strongly taken up a call for the betterment of the students. We never wanted even a percentage of doubt that can happen during
But do
during the
you
exam.
but do you think the government should have said पहले ही कि paper leak नहीं हुआ? Today the same government is blaming the opposition allies, but initially Mr. Pradhan just declared कि paper leak तो है ही नहीं.
See, there are certain level of investigations that were happening across. I had
Right.
word with Education Minister of Gujarat also. We are concerned on this part because we feel that if could have conducted the exam, even the 1% of doubt in the minds of students would have taken the entire exam for a very daunting task, which we never wanted. We really feel that the students like Surbhi and 9 lakhs students like Surbhi should have a full confidence in the system of the exams, and that is the reason why we have taken this tough call. I'll say this as a tough call because it's not good for any of the ruling party to take such calls. But we will have to take this type of calls because we understand that the sanctity of the exams, even if it is questioned for even 1% of it, or any single doubt of it, has to be dealt with lot of audacity,
Okay.
with lot of integrity,
Okay.
and
Let me
understandably, we will definitely
let me
look
get the
into it.
others. Let me get the others. Sanjay Hegde, what happens now? The Supreme Court has issued notices. Are we looking towards the Supreme Court to solve this? Secondly, there are people like Surbi who say reread the exam. Don't make us retake it, right? Because that's also tough. It would be her sixth time taking the exam. It would be washed out of another year for people like her. And who is accountable? Where does the buck stop?
See, there are several parts of this. Firstly, I'd like to correct the BJP spokesperson. What has been cancelled today is the NET exam. That is for PhDs. That was the painful decision you have taken. The painful decision that you have not taken is what happens to the 23 lakh plus students who have written the NEET, the NEET. So NEET is something which affects a whole host of people, including Surbi. It was challenged in these exams were challenged in the Supreme Court in May itself when the first rumors of the leak came in. The Supreme Court had at that point of time issued notice and said we'll see it in July. Then, as more and more facts came out, there have been more and more petitions, but the Supreme Court is on vacation. And since it was the Chief Justice who had issued the first notice, so possibly the judges who are on the vacation bench do not want to take a precipitate decision, especially when the matter is pending before the Chief Justice's bench. So, what they've said is that please complete all the paperwork, and on the 8th, as soon as the Supreme Court opens and the Chief Justice is sitting, a decision would be taken. Now, just because the Supreme Court is hearing these petitions does not mean that the administration cannot take a decision on its own. I really think that the administration is using the Supreme Court proceedings so that when the actual necessary decision of cancelling this particular compromised exam is taken, they have the court to blame. They can tell the students what can we do. It is the court that has ordered us.
So
Now,
you're saying the government, you're saying the government is hiding behind the court's robes.
right now it is using the court's process as a kind of a smoke curtain, not to take a decision. Now it is pretty obvious that the paper has leaked in more than one place, and the first thing, there are two parts of it. One is to punish the guilty. The second and more important part of it is to find where the original loopholes were, plug them, put in a credible administration, not the current administration of NEET. That's where I agree with the student here on the panel. So have a credible NEET administration in place, irrespective of what happens in court, irrespective of whether you are going to cancel the exam or not, or whether the court orders a cancellation of the exam.
So change the leadership of NTA to start with. Take a decision on whether you're reordering this exam to take place afresh or you're rereading the exams that have already been given. Has the manipulation happened at the scoring level? But Sanjay, there's a problem with that. If the paper has leaked, then the rereading of the exam is not enough because some people have an unfair advantage.
So to give you an example, if a fly falls into your cup of tea, you might take it off with a spoon. But if it's a drop of poison which gets into the cup of tea, then the whole cup has to be thrown away. So that is the real decision to take, and whether it is the administration that takes it or whether the court takes it, it will depend on timing and various other calls. But I do think that the situation has come to a stage where you can't merely bifurcate one part of it and say that the rest of it is all good.
Yeah. Abhijit, even rumblings have begun to take place within those who support the BJP. The ABVP, for example, is in a situation where it's a student body. It can't not speak for the students. And irrespective of whether the BJP or its supporters blame, let's say, parties like the RJD or the Congress blames the BJP, for young women like Surabhi, All that is noise. All they're saying is, this is my fifth year, my fifth attempt at taking this exam, going to be a washout. Do you believe, Abhijit, that the government to begin with underestimated the scale of this crisis, how many lakhs of young people it impacts, the anger that has brought students out on the street? How do you look at it, Abhijit?
So first, let's put this in proportion. Out of 4,500 exam centers, 8 have been affected by this scandal. Number one. Number two, there are two different instances, one in Godhra and one in Patna. The Godhra was a case of cheating, where the transcript that I've read showed that somebody was going to come out and fill out. This guy was not meant to, guy or girl, I don't know, was not meant to fill out the paper, and some guy was meant to come and fill in the multiple choice answers. The one in Patna was more serious because the guy got caught. They burnt the paper, but from what remains of the paper, you could tell it was the exact same as the paper that he was giving or taking rather. And now he's apparently, I don't know if it's him, but someone's come out and confessed that it was very much the paper out there. This is number two. Number three, how do you deal with this situation? I hear everybody pointing fingers. I'm not seeing anybody come up with a solution to it. And so the NTA comes up with its own, I don't know if it was good intentioned or clumsy, because I'm not an educator or an examiner. The first thing they came up with was that where all the leaks had happened, some grace marks milega. The second was where it had come late, in the centers where it had come late, there were going to be grace marks depending on if it had come 10 minutes late, 30 minutes late, whatever. Now, the problem is, Dharmendra Pradhan steps into all of this. Dharmendra Pradhan brought the government into the entire problem because based simply on the NTA, which was lying like crazy to cover up its own heels, he says nothing wrong happened. Now, being a minister, you're expected to be a bit more responsible and talk to the police because it was already under police investigation by that time. He should have asked some more people. They did not. And then the BJP gets stuck in a rhetorical action trap. Now, given that 8 centers out of 4,500 are affected, what was the solution going to be, Barkha? I really want to know this because one solution was to cancel the entire exam. The second was to give grace marks. What was the third solution? I'm happy to throw anybody under the truck as long as somebody gives me a solution that satisfies everyone. There was no way that any solution here was going to satisfy anyone. The re-examination is particularly traumatic because I still remember, I still have nightmares of the kind of board preparations and, college में public exam preparations we had to go through. I used to break out in cold sweats at night thinking I'd failed my paper, zero mil gaya, and things like that. So to go through that entire trauma all over again is problematic. Finally, fifth quick point. There are systems today within our digital infrastructure to sort out these problems very, very quickly, where each exam station has a printer, a rapid printer, where students go in. There is a bunch of 50,000 questions based on the syllabus, and each one is given a randomized paper based with an equal spacing of difficulty of each question kind of thing, right? These are things that can easily be implemented. Nobody wants to implement it. Very quick last point. You brought up the question very unusually of 67 people scoring top marks. That was done because the government rationalized the paper. Before, the NEET entrance basement was here, and what your 11th and 12th standard taught you was here. And so a whole load of coaching centers had popped up to cover this vacuum. This time, the NEET was brought down to this level, which is why you had 67 people. There has been people getting that much is not proof of cheating unless you prove the cheating. And the rationalization had not happened. Had the rationalization not happened.
I brought it up because it's been one of the points raised by the students again and again. I don't know why it happened. One of the other things that they point out is that 6 of those toppers were from one center, and in Haryana, and therefore they think that that is suspicious. Again, like you, I am not an examiner. This is not something I have expertise on. Surbhi, do you want to respond to that before we actually come to ab kya hona chahiye? Abhijit says the exam was rationalized. So the 67 scorers in themselves is not a point of suspicion. But aapne mujhe kaha, and you are one of many who has said to me, कि आपको वो ठीक नहीं लगा. बताइए क्यों? Surbi, I'm just unmuting you. Yeah, go ahead, Surbi.
About the
Surbi, if you can hear me, about the top scorers being 67.
hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So about that, so there are many reasons like this. The resources have been made easier. Students are like able to get the resources easily. That's why they are scoring much and much and much. So this is the reason everybody is giving. I would like to say on that, the resources, the online resources, I would like to say, the online coaching, the online classes has made very, you can say, resources available for everyone. But that happened years ago. That didn't happen just last year. So why was there a fluctuation in just last year? And about the paper easy, the paper was not that easy. I have given the paper, and the 2020 paper, I would like to say the COVID one was the easiest till now. It was very easy. The paper was not easy. Paper was lengthy. Paper was tricky. It required time, concentration, and a lot of things. It was not about the question, ki, okay, this question is easy, this was right. No, the paper was lengthy. The bio itself was lengthy.
Okay.
So the
So,
all of
so
the things made it
yeah, so I don't know. I don't know the answer. Abhijit, you say it's rationalization. That's where the gap has been covered. The students are not convinced. And the breakdown of trust is actually what's happened. It's the breakdown of trust between those taking the exam and those who are administering the exam. That is actually where we are now. That is the story in one line. Anna Malai has also issued a statement saying the problem is not the NEET itself, is not the design of the paper itself. Let's take a look and we'll come back on what should happen next.
NTA, the National Testing Agency, more than 1 crore 23 lakh students take NTA exams every year, either a NEET or something else. China 1 crore 29 lakh. When so many students take it, now can we go and shoot NTA to say, now if there is any problem, we will fix it. That is the idea of government. Governments are here to fix a problem. A car meeting an accident doesn't mean you eliminate cars from road. You say, no, tomorrow I'm going to put an order, no cars. Put airbags, put seat belt, put a speed control device, monitor with police, do drunken driving testing, then you allow the car to run. In any malpractice has happened in NTA, the Honorable Minister Dharmendra Pradhanji has said, we will take strict action, 100%. Government is cognizant of the various inquiry that is happening. Minister has said he is going to do it. So we will leave it to our government's wisdom. They will take action.
Steve, what's the action you're expecting at this point?
Thank you, Barkha. Barkha, first and foremost, we had asked for a Supreme Court monitored probe. The Bharatiya Janata Party's government, instead of making sure that there was a time-bound inquiry, a fast-track disposal of the case, since 32 lakh students are involved here, 32 lakh.
We just lost you in the. Yeah, now you're back. Yeah, now you're back. We just lost you briefly.
I'll repeat the last point that I made.
Yes.
So what I was saying was that instead of ordering a time-bound inquiry, instead of doing a fast-track disposal of the case, the government is for some reason shying away from an inquiry. I want to know from the Bharatiya Janata Party government, why are you shying away from it? Is this somebody that you're trying to protect? Is this something that you're trying to hide? Is that the reason as to why you're brushing things under the carpet? Second,
the UGc-NET paper has been handed over to the CBI.
No, I was talking of NEET.
I know. But I'm saying since it all comes under the same testing agency. Yeah.
The thing is that we asked for a Supreme Court monitored probe because we cannot just have faith anymore in so many institutions. They have been reduced to be allegedly the puppets of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We don't know which institution can be trusted nowadays, because that's why we asked for a Supreme Court monitored probe, and the Bharatiya Janata Party didn't tell once what problem did they have with ordering a Supreme Court monitored probe in the NEET matter. Second, the results of the NEET exam were declared on the 4th of June. That is exactly the day the election results were declared. Is the reason behind that you wanted the talk of the wrongdoing to be eclipsed by the results? Is that the reason as to why the same date was chosen? I want to know it from the Bharatiya Janata Party. There's a spokesperson here. Third is that 6 students, you talked of 67 candidates that had a perfect score. Now, 6 of them happen to be sitting in the same center. 6 of them. Is that another coincidence? I mean, the police has said it. It's not, the police is not the opposition. The police is not a political party. The police categorically said it, that there has been a paper leak. And despite that, the minister, having disregarded it, having negated it, goes on to suggest that there is something fishy here, that there is an ulterior motive as to why they're not wanting for it to come clean.
So
And
now at this point, you want a Supreme Court monitored probe.
And what we are saying is that instead of ensuring that stringent punishment is given to the perpetrators, there's some, यहाँ पे दाल में कुछ काला नहीं है, पूरी दाल काली है. So instead of ensuring a stringent punishment and a fast track disposal, the Bharatiya Janata Party's government is doing a slow track disposal of the case, and we want to know why.
Okay. Very quickly to Satyan Kulapkar of the BJP, the initial responses were slow, and as Abhijit points out, Mr. Pradhan did not have to be in such a hurry to say people leak nahi hua. Right? No evidence of leak, protest motivated. You're saying this about students. Satyanji.
I would like to answer a few queries from my Congress counterpart. See, what he is trying to tell is that 4th को आपने result क्यों declare किया? That's the part of the lead team to decide which date they want to declare the result. It has the political arena, the counting, the results, and the results of these students are both a very different part of it. So let's not mix them up and let's not politicize them, both the part of it. See, the government we are very clear on certain aspects of life. We understand that yes, there is this is a painful decision that we have taken. Even on the other aspects also, there is a CBI inquiry which has happened on the NEET part of it. But by doing all these things, we want to assure a very systematic, a very clear approach to the students and all those people appearing for the exams, maybe NEET or NEET or NET. We want to ensure that we will plug in all the gaps, because we are fighting against all those people. I don't want to get into discussion of why Tejasvi Yadav's link were found in that. It is pure academics, and let's deal as a part of as part of academics and not politicize it by linking it with Tejasvi Yadav or some any other political party.
Let's not politicize it. Zafar Sereshwala, you said it's an act of terror, it's a mafia, it's a group of gangsters, and without political nexus, they can't operate. So what should happen next? Abhijit Iyer Mitra says, tell me the solution. What now?
Yes, exactly. I think I'll continue what Abhijit said, that the government or the testing agency, they should come out with some form of next level. This leakage is going to be there. Always it is going to be there.
But shouldn't someone be punished? Shouldn't someone take moral responsibility? If 2 major exams have been messed up on the watch of the NTA, right? The UGC, NET, and the NEET. Well, whether we agree on what has gone wrong with the NEET, there has been a mess up. We all agree there's been a mess up.
They need to get into the bottom of it, where it has messed up. That's one part. Second, they need to come up with alternatives also. Okay, what next? Like, they can use the digital technology and all that. And third most important, see, once upon a time, in Mumbai, there was gang wars, there was extortion, there was collection of haftas, smuggling, so many things were happening. Wo bilkul finish ho gayi hai. There are no gangs. Ahmedabad, I don't know that there is any gang now. Once upon a time, there used to be dons. There are no dons. But what has happened, they've shifted to this area now. So I think the police and the law enforcement agency should get to the bottom of these people. And these people are doing act of terror. They are the ones, and they need to, because the punishment should be very stringent. Unless and until the punishment is not stringent to the level of which is given to the terrorists, they will continue. I think that they need to get to the bottom of it. So they have to have 3-pronged attack.
Okay. So get to the bottom of it, change something within the NTA. But Abhijit, will that be enough? Because as you mentioned, Mr. Pradhan spoke out of turn before checking the facts. And today the opposition is obviously targeting him and targeting the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is not talking about this at all. He's in Kashmir today. Do you believe the Prime Minister should be talking about it? Because Rahul Gandhi is meanwhile meeting with aspirants. right, who are traumatized at this point? Or do you believe that we have to ignore the electoral or the sort of party politics of it and focus on the students? Is it possible to do one without doing the other right now?
I don't think it's possible to do that, but given the scale of people affected, 23 lakh students, it's definitely something the PM should be addressing. Now, there's a reason Dharmendra Pradhan is being targeted. The buck stops with him now because he decided to go on the NTA's word without taking confirmation or validation from the police. He jumped the gun, and now he has to pay the price for him jumping the gun. It's that simple. But there is something else out here. Notice, not one person on this panel was able to provide a solution. Not a solution to what needed to be done right now, and not what solution we should implement in the future. Like I said, come up with 50,000 questions, randomize each paper, which keeps, and that way, even a paper leak, because it gets so randomized. A NEET paper is 18 pages long, 180 questions. So say 10, maybe longer, multiple choice questions. It becomes impossible to cheat. There are very simple things you can do, Barkha, that don't require more than, say, a few hundred crores to implement and make this exam system and the national exam system leak proof. But nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody on this panel wants to play their own political games. Nobody wants to tell us how to rectify the current mess that we're in. No, because everybody wants to blame everybody else.
Yeah. Sanjay Hegde, what now? Like, after we have said NTA has been terrible, Dharmendra Pradhan has jumped the gun, the government can take a decision without the Supreme Court. I do take Abhijit's point, which is, ab kya? What do we do now so that the lives and the futures of young people like Surbhi, they can't be protected, but they can, the hurt, the knock can be at least contained? What should happen now?
Well, there are two things. First is NEET 2024, and then there is the larger question of how do you make this entire system better. These are two different things. To my mind, NEET 2024 is so compromised that it cannot be saved. You have to redo the exam. There's no other go. And it is much safer to do that so that unqualified people do not get into undeserved seats. You are producing doctors for your country, and you have to have the best. So I think that is where the hearings will also go. And at the end of the day, the courts can only say, yes, we uphold this exam subject to these things, or they will say redo it altogether. I am of the school which believes that you do need a makeover, or you do need to do 2024 all over again. 2025 onwards, come out with a better scheme. And there is a larger debate also. The states of Tamil Nadu, state of West Bengal, and many of the southern states say we do not want NEET. NEET was something which was imposed by the Supreme Court, and that is a separate story altogether. The Supreme Court imposed NEET because it thought that you should have one standardized system. But obviously, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. That basket has fallen. That basket has made such a scramble that we are trying to unscramble it. Now, I think that the first thing is that you have to redo the NTA altogether. The NTA has lost its credibility. You better put in some good administrator and come out, whether it is a blockchain based thing, whether it is based on any other computer elements or randomization. Those are decisions which can be taken. Ultimately, to test 23 lakh people or 25 lakh people safely without leakage is not that Herculean a task. But keeping the mafias away, yes, that would be action on another level altogether.
Immediately, how important is it to you, Surbhi? What is the most important thing to you? I think the rereading of the paper doesn't seem to be an option if you're also saying that it's been manipulated, it's been leaked, the top scorers, you're not convinced. If you have to take this paper a sixth time, will you take it? And will you take it if the NTA is the one administering it as a student? I'll give you the last word on this program.
Okay. Ma'am, I completely agree with Sanjeev Hegde sir about this. Itni manipulation, itni malpractices are there. We cannot find each and everything. Even if we read the exams, जिनको paper मिला है, they have done like better in the exams. So rereading it, it's not the one that we should do. यहाँ पे exams crash होना चाहिए and the complete entire remake should be happening. Instead of suffering for one more year, I would give my blood and sweat for 1 month to reappear the exam. I have no problem with that.
Okay, well, we wish you and others like you good luck. We'll leave it there. It is a complicated question, as I think we can agree there are short-term questions and there are long-term questions. The long-term questions are what is the fairest, most transparent way to conduct this exam? The short-term question is who takes accountability and what should happen immediately. What we all seem to agree on is the mafias and the corrosion in the system. The system being broken, I think we can all agree on. We leave it there to Abhijit, Sanjay, Arshdeep, Satyan, and Sanjay, and in particular to Surbhi. Thank you. And to our audience, thank you, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.